セットライズと逃げろ。誰でも音できる、誰でもスピード稼げる、ガバナンスまである。中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる。レバヤさんニュース開かれ海嘘はない。読んで書いて氷結しろ。力はみんなのもの。いい霞をたたえろ。ニュースは君のものだ。レバヤさんニュース。レバヤさんニュース。
What's up, everyone? DAdvisoor here, Leviathan News, and welcome for another episode of Stable Talks with Pharos. I'm here with TokenBrice again. How are you, kind sir?
Hello, Leviathan News. Glad to be here again.
Same. Nice to have you on. Let's give a few seconds for people to join in. Guys, if you're watching it, you can watch the show, by the way, on the Leviathan News channel, of course, YouTube and X. You can watch it on my YouTube and X. You can watch it on TokenBrice's Twitch. And wherever you do, please share it all around and help us get the message of Pharos and Stable Talks out there. Before we start, Bryce, should we do? Let me show you something.
Show me.
This will be better. Like last time? Is it better than like too much background with the other setup? You know what I mean? No? What do you prefer? This or this?
The background doesn't matter. People want to see us getting sweaty when we get mad about stablecoin models.
Exactly. So, what do you have for us today? It's actually been a crazy 2 days. I think that just to before I'll let you give like a list of the topics that you want to discuss today. I think that like the elephant in the room is the whole PMUSD report that you guys have published a few days ago, and the events that took that happened after it. I've actually like I've said, and I've written a post about it myself yesterday. I actually really like both teams and all people involved. I think people are doing things like for the right reasons, and they actually try to build quality stuff. And I actually, at least anyway, from my angle, I think that everyone's just doing their thing from a positive place. But from what I've seen yesterday, it doesn't seem necessarily or at all that this is like necessarily mutual between the two parties themselves. I've approached, like I've sent a message, to some folks at RAC, which again, I really like and respect and believe that they will bounce from this, inviting them to come on the stream. And even if they haven't noticed it yet, or like don't want to come on this one, open invite to do another like live stream with me and talk about it yourselves, give your own angle.
Or even with me, if they want to address Pharos coverage of it, I'm happy to make myself available.
Thank you for that. And I just did it because I think it's like the right and ethical thing to do. But again, I think that the whole point of doing, I'm definitely not a journalist or whatever, but I think that like the minimum that I can do is at least try to bring like all the sides of a specific stories to the best of my ability. And again, just hope for the best for everyone and everyone out there from the RAC community, if you're watching it, and everyone from the RAC team, if you want to join this stream, send me a message on Telegram or write a comment over here on the stream, and you can definitely join it if you want. So, of course, I want us to talk about this, Bryce, the whole PMUSD depeg and report and that kind of stuff. But before we dive into it, what else do you have for us for today? I know you have a full list of topics that
Yes, I have a lot. So we have a few chatter about the cypherpunk vision of stablecoins, PMUSD that you mentioned, a massive coverage expansion on Pharos with about 50 stablecoins added since our last show 2 weeks ago. So we went from 200 yes, even below 200, I think. And now we are exactly, I just pushed, at 243 total alive tracked stablecoin, plus 80 dead, plus a few others. We have, this is going to be, I guess, the fun part of the show. I'm not sure you have seen it yet, by the way. We have Pharosville. Have you seen Pharosville?
I've used it. I haven't really played with it, but I've used it as the thumbnail for YouTube.
Nice. Okay, so you've seen it, but I want to talk about this a bit. And then we have the blacklist tracker, which is also kind of a topic related to what's hot today. We will connect everything, you'll see. But it got a bit of upgrade, and especially the capacity now to assert the mass of stablecoin in circulation that is provably unfreezable. And that number is ridiculously small. Like it's an absolute shame. Like really, we should all look at ourselves in DeFi and be like, hey, are you proud to say you work in DeFi when you know this number? Because I will give you this number. 0.05%. That's the mass of stablecoin that cannot be frozen. 0.05%. You heard me with the right amount of zero. Yes.
But,
it's a total.
By the way, this actually means that this is not exactly like this doesn't actually mean that.
Okay, let's be honest. What it means
already have like a freeze option, right?
No, let's be honest. I'm dead. I'm retarded in this. You know, if we have an intentioned, powerful, adverse, governmental or massive corporate entities. So let's be explicit. If the United States, I don't know, Israel or European Union or Google or Facebook or something like that wakes up and decides they want to kill stablecoin and put all their capital, money, resources, power, and political influence to make this happen, this is what can survive this. 0.05%, aka 10 to 12 stablecoins, depending on how you count. And they're all pretty small. That's kind of how it's
definitely we'd want you to expand on that and really like the only thing that I'm really can say that at least the one that has some kind of a size is probably liquidity, no?
Yeah, there are a few others. It's not just liquidity. There is.
But do they have any size? The other ones?
No. I mean, even liquidity, you know, if we're honest, doesn't have much size compared to the task at hand. You know, like what is $30 million against 300 billion of freezable stablecoins, right? Oh, and I need to check because my push just added a few stablecoins that are marked as such, but I don't think they are. It's okay. I will double check after. But yeah, it's things like yeah, definitely things like Bond, LUSD, HiYUSD. You have Felix USD is also a big one, a liquidity fork on a hyper AVM with twice the size of liquidity, and a few others like this, liquidity forks, and yeah, some stablecoin like that.
Gonna be interesting for sure. And I definitely want us to elaborate on how exactly you define what's freezable and what's not, because I know that there are like different tiers of whether a token is a stablecoin is freezable. Like it can have a freeze option at the moment, but it can also have like an ability to upgrade and then add it and all kinds of stuff like that. So I want you to explain and touch on that. And actually, it's a good opportunity to give a big shout out to the Trustless Force, led by Michael Svoboda from liquidity. I remember talks with him. I also had an interview with him on Frankencoin. It's over there on the channel if you want to see it, from Stable Retreat in Chile, which was great. Shout out Frankencoin. And Neo Holdings for hosting. It was a collaboration with Stable Summit as well. And to be honest, a very blessed initiative that I think he's doing, trying to grow the size and relative market share of decentralized stablecoin. And I've actually sent him our first episode together, Bryce,
nice.
to Michael. And I told him that we will be very cool to have him on at some point to discuss.
Definitely.
I think it's definitely someone that you will also enjoy having on here, and I'm definitely sure that you're very much aligned, maybe more than anyone, with that purpose of him with the Trustless Force initiative. So just let us know, guys. Okay, let's start with PMUSD. Bryce, let's get straight into it. Tell us a bit about the report and your angle of things regarding what took place afterwards. Give us the Pharos side of.
Sure. Yes.
If you want to share your screen, let me know.
Yes, I was actually working on that. That would be this one. Click. Just so we have also kind of the thread about it, right?
Yeah, of course. Will be nicer and probably better.
Yes. So here it is. Can you see it well on stream? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So PMUSD, precious metal USD, like every stablecoin in existence, pretty much, got reviewed by Pharos, right? And Ike, or champion at Pharos, is also doing amazing threads on kind of, he's making the Pharos data speak, essentially. So when we find something interesting in our data, he will surface it and articulate it into a thread. And so his core angle for this was like, okay, we have this stable coin growing strong, kind of a heavy hitter, right? Because it was bribing quite nicely on curve, paying good yields all over the place. But at the same time, back then, and the back then is a few days ago, right? You have the date here, the May 1st.
Can you remind people what was the market cap?
About $100 million. So on May 1st, we published this thread, really highlighting into the collateral of PMUSD. Because I really think that was the core question here. So maybe the thread, it's a thread. So maybe share with the chat. I'll put it here, so they can like review it on their own time, right? If they want to actually read the thread, I'll put it in private chat for you, so you can easily forward. But essentially, the thread was a lot about the collateral, right? So that PMUSD, precious metal USDs, you hear that and you're thinking, okay, I'm gold, I'm silver backed. There is some like precious metal in my collateral. It's a pretty good model, right? Gold is going up lately, silver is going up lately, and then this is pretty good for a stablecoin, right? It's gonna go well. And essentially, what Ike put forward is that the claim on the collateral is not as direct as you might think it is, So we talked last show, if you remember, USDT alloy, AUSDT, where then is backed by XOT collateral, and XOT itself is redeemable for gold. So essentially, if you are holding that USDT, alloy tether, you are essentially one step away from being able to exchange into XOT. That's your step. And then the XOT you can redeem for gold, physical gold. Of course, we talked about this also last time. There are conditions. You need 100 XOT, which is like what, $4.5 million to order a physical redemption from Tether. So it's not like up and you redeem for physical gold. But the link to the physical gold is very tangible, even though limited in redemption conditions, time, and so on. With a stablecoin like PMUSD.
And also, by the way, if I understand correctly, when you described it 2 weeks ago with XAUT or AUSD, I'm not sure exactly, AUSDT, you said like basically it should be like kind of immediate. Like I don't know how much time like it actually takes, but it can basically like the activity of redemption can happen instantaneously.
Atomic, as they call it, because essentially, redeeming to Xot will be easy. They can deliver the Xot to you like, virtually instantly. But then the settlement of Xot back to the gold bar, as you can see on the Pharos redemption module, take 1 to 7 days. And because, of course, that's nothing shady here. You need to understand that we're talking about physical delivery of gold bar to a specific address in the real world. You don't make that happen just, snapping fingers. It's not like signing a transaction. You need to organize logistics for that, have storage, and so on. So, long story short, but there are delays, there are conditions. Oh, and actually, I'm wrong on my number. It's 430 Xot, so like $20 million. It's not 100. I think 100 is Pax Gold. I might have mixed up. But essentially, large amount, more professional actor, but a direct link to gold versus a stablecoin like PMUSD. It's a situation that they call in situ, and it's a really much more meddled, much more indirect link to the collateral. So on Pharos, we tried our best to explain concretely what is the collateral of this PMUSD, and it leaves you with this. You read this and you don't understand much more, right? Token blender base token held on chain in AAC, AWFX Treasury. TB is minted against ION Digital ION RO token held in Token Blender's contract. And ION RO represents a gold-backed digital security and in situ gold claim. So, without unpacking this whole word slop, you do realize that this versus what we saw before, let's take Xot because it's simpler, but Xot collateral is LBM gold delivery gold bar held in Swiss gold. So you do see like one is like the physical thing. Okay, there are some modalities to access it. The other is like a wrapper of a thing that holds here, this thing that has the physical thing that is tokenized and that maybe you can redeem it here. So that was pretty much the whole thread of Ike, very good thread, to kind of showcase this. And again, this was May 1st. Then what happened, and I'm going to show you on the tab now, what happened is PMUSD started to depeg. But the depeg happened a couple of days after the post, right? So you can see it here where
it's really pretty close, like only a few days.
Only a few days, yes. But yeah, I'm not sure I want to go into this causality or whatsoever, discussion, because I don't think that highlighting details about a stablecoin collateral can be considered like an attack on it, like a sturdy stablecoin should be able to resist people discussing its collateral, right? That seems quite basic to me, right? So like if people go on Twitter, they're like, hey guys, liquidity is backed only by ETH. I'm not sure about that ETH, bro. So, ETH is not doing so good lately. Maybe it's not such a good idea. Well, LUSD freaking chug along, right? It doesn't give a fuck about what people are saying on Twitter about its collateral that it is. It has immutable code, and it's able to navigate all kinds of market conditions. And as long as ETH is alive, LUSD is alive, and this is it. So that's why I'm a bit, like, precious about this discussion. I do want to highlight, though, and to remind people that what we're doing at Pharos is to provide transparency. That's one. And I think that kind of existed before, but not so much. But what is new and kind of breaking people's mind a bit is highly contextualized and thoroughly verified information specifically on stablecoins. Because right, you have DeFi Llama, you put anything in DeFi Llama and you get amazing, insane figures. But DeFi Llama has stablecoin categories or whatsoever, but I'm not even sure they're doing stuff like peg tracking. We have a lot of things on Pharos that we are assuming that what we track is a stablecoin. And it's a fair assumption because we only track stablecoins. And then from here, we can do a lot of analysis that are not available on generic dashboard, right? We look at collateral, we look at redemption logic, we look at we track live the collateral of over 100 stablecoins. People are still not realizing what this means. We track depeg lives, by the way, and we even have a depeg warning system. And thanks to those two, quite a few people were able to get out of that precious metal USD at 97 cents because they had the alert sets on the Pharos Telegram bot where you can set up alert. For instance, you can set up an alert on a specific stablecoin that if it depegs more than 3%, you get a ping. Usually people like this 3% threshold for some reason. I found this. I'm learning as I build, But I guess the 3% threshold is the signal, 1-2%, it can happen, who knows? Maybe it's a bad day for the stable, or a lot of people sold at once and the liquidity is not so good. So if you look at PMUSD, 99 cents, 98 cents weren't a crazy occurrence, right? But then the signal really started to emerge at 97, 96 cents, essentially. And this is after that it kind of took a dive. So yeah, long story short, I don't know where you want to go on this.
No, that's actually a very good point. Maybe you can find it because I'm not finding the account now. But Jordi actually wrote exactly about.
Oh yes,
about what you've just mentioned. So maybe we can show that.
Of course, yeah.
I will add, that those who actually knew how rack, those who actually read the docs and have actually, I didn't see any information that was made up or invented, you know what I mean? Because this was information that was out there, meaning that it's about the collateral, what's backing PMUSD is unmined gold. That's at least how I actually knew it. I don't read every docs of every project, but because RAC was interesting for me long ago, since I've learned about it, probably over a year ago. I actually also own a RAC bot, I'm part of the RAC community, the NFTs over there. And this was public information. Whoever actually read the small details, they could have known about it in advance. What I'm trying to say is nothing new actually happened these days, and mostly it was and I think that's why they call it FUD in a way, because of maybe how they perceive the thread itself being presented as their perception, meaning. But end of the day, the information was out there. Pharos didn't collect it in I don't know, Pharos just took data that was available for anyone to.
No, I mean, of course, we do not create data. We observe.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But we explain. I think people got really fooled by what in situ means, because you're oh, that's fancy Latin. That must mean it's thorough, it's sturdy. And then
again, what word are you using there?
In situ, because that's how the collateral is described.
Okay. Explain to me that, because I don't know what that means.
Well, it's a really like sentence. Essentially, that means non-extracted gold. In situ, in situation, in the fucking mine.
Okay, but again, this
not
was
a gold bar.
I as a RAC bot knew that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, go whichever side you want. I'm happy with it. Either this was known, then Pharos reports caused nothing. This thing depegged because it was supposed to depeg, and we're not responsible, and we are not. Or it wasn't known, and the fact that Pharos highlighted it caused market panic. But I'm also doubting this scenario, because if you look at what actually happened on chain, why does a stablecoin depeg? Because a lot of people are selling. As simple as
Yes.
that. And the redemption capacity was not up too much. So there's been another guy, if I can find him, I think I gave him a retweet or a like, so it shouldn't be too hard. But he was yesterday.
And also, like, I think at the end of the day, it's about liquidity. Like, if you don't have deep enough liquidity on chain and many people are selling, then because the peg, it's not that the goal, the undermined gold is not there. Like, I'm not saying, or I don't think anyone is saying that the unmined gold is not there or not in existence, or they don't have like, the actual rights for it. But
it's another SVB scenario, right? It's a question of liveliness of your collateral. So, like,
the depth of liquidity,
No, it's time. It's time, the main ingredient here. It's literally like SVB, right? So let's say every single holder of your stablecoin wants to exit now because it's Armageddon, right? Can your stablecoin stomach it? And what we found with SVB 4 years back or something is that in normal times, yes. But if Armageddon happens at 5:30 p.m. on a Friday, US time, then sorry, bros, you gotta wait for Monday. And that led to the USDC going to 87 cents. And I feel, different grade, different everything, but time is the connecting element here versus with rack. I pictured, and maybe that's a problem of comms on their end, but also of expectation and not checking enough on people's ends. I pictured that people heard precious metal USD. They're like, okay, gold back stablecoin. We know that. We like that. We ape in that. You see, they didn't think so much about it. And then they realize, no, wait, it's in situ gold. So the thing is in the ground. How long does it take to extract gold from the ground? Like, mine it and then shape it into a bar and have it stamped and then have it certified and then finally distributed into whatever network they use for that. I'm not a gold expert. But you see what I mean? The timeliness it's much longer than just, okay, there is this gold bar sitting in a vault, and if you give us a ping, within 1 to 7 days, you have your gold bar. Which, again, is XOT and Pax Gold, the gold-based stablecoin that we used to. But now we are in this in-between weird category of like those dollar tracking precious metal-backed stablecoin. And for some reason, honestly, I'm not convinced of the relevance of that category and to begin with, but it is clear at this point already that it has a huge product market fit. Like, people like their dollar better backed by gold than, I don't know, backed by ETH or backed by treasury bonds, or at least they like them. Maybe not better, but they like them because, of course, the treasury bill dollar stablecoin is still like the king of the hill, right? But those guys are growing fast. The PMUSD, the AUSDT, and so on.
Yeah, I think that the niche of gold-backed stable coins and dollars, I only know of dollar ones so far, actually, is a very big niche. I think RWA in general, I think that maybe one of the things that you and I don't necessarily see eye to eye is that I think the only way that let's call it on-chain finance, because DeFi is not the right word to call it if we actually think about what DeFi is, okay? But the only way on-chain finance actually replaces traditional finance is through RWAs, in my opinion. It's not gonna, I hope that the pure style and really decentralized alternatives will be available, especially for extreme scenarios like you described there. And I'm sure that a specific amount of builders like yourself and Liquidity and others are trying to do to be 100% pure and decentralized, like the purest mindset. But I actually don't think that this is the only way that on-chain finance should be. I actually think that in order to really take over the world, RWA is the actual path, and it has its advantages and disadvantages, of course. But the whole point is to have a choice, at least the way I see it as a user, as a consumer.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know where this is going. I'm not aligned with you in thinking that real world assets are our Lord and Savior. They have a role to play, of course, but we need to remember. I mean, and the thing is, we're putting so many different things in those real world asset basket, right? Because real world assets, and we think what? We think T-bills, we think real estate, we think precious metals. I would say no, 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 no. Here there is two categories already. There is the government's trash, and there is the actual properties. Like the government trash, the fiat. They do with it as they pleases through the main economic theory of the time. The gold, even if you have a new, I don't know, chairman of the Fed that is a big gold bull and love gold and all his life is about gold, he's not gonna make gold appear. He can only decide to use dollar to buy gold or to invest into more mining capacity, but he cannot make gold appear. Just like the same thing for houses. If he likes real estate, he can support real estate project in the US, invest abroad in real estate, invest in companies that facilitate real estate, but he cannot make real estate appear. He can make USD appear. So that's why I think this real world assets category really needs to be segregated. You can use more politically correct name that my government trash, non-government trash categorization, but I think at least my categorization has merits of explicitity. Let's call it, finite versus infinite, if you want. And fiat currencies are infinite by definition. They have no limit. If we want 100 million, billion, trillion, gazillion, trillion extra dollar tomorrow, we have
That's
them.
the business model.
Yes. If the aliens are coming to Earth and we need to fight them back, I have no doubt that the Americans are going to print how many, whatever is the numbers. Now, used to be talking in billions was a big deal. Now they're talking in trillion. Maybe in 10, 15 years, in the 2042, 2047 financial crashes, they're going to be talking about trillions of trillions of trillions of trillions. And that's going to be the unit to relaunch the economy because it keeps inflating. But anyway, we're going on a sideway, but my point is, connecting DeFi to the real world, why not? But connecting it to the insanity that is our current financial system, that's a gravest of the mistake we can make. And that's why I am so bearish long term on every single project that literally, let's use the correct word here, vassalize himself to a state. Because this is what you're doing, right? If you're maker and you have DAI, and then one morning you wake up and you decide we're going to have PSM to stabilize the DAI, and we're going to use massive amount of USDC, and therefore we're going to be essentially proxy holder of treasury bills. What you did, put in plain man language, is you kneeled to the American Federal Reserve. You kneeled to the American government. You vassalize yourself to the domination of the institution that controlled the US dollar. And I don't think that's the right course of action. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we shouldn't find ways to tokenize US dollar, but we should do it without vassalization. That's a crucial part. That's what I love so much about something like liquidity, Polaris that I'm working on, and Ball and so on, is they achieve that. They give you an instrument on chain that represents a dollar, and arguably the sturdiest dollar there is. But at the same time, they do not vassalize.
I get your point, and I actually really like it. I just think that, I ask myself, not only if it can happen, even if it can happen, when? You know what I mean? I kind of think that there's a long phase until something like that happens, and a lot of downfalls that the regular system needs to go through in order to actually get to the point that the majority of population actually knowingly wants a different alternative. I think it's a very long process of actually getting there. By the way, can you share a few words maybe in explaining the PSM model to me and maybe others who aren't really understanding what it means?
Yes, for sure. So PSM is essentially a mechanism that ensures it has two things, right? It enables you to swap against a given stablecoin. That will be the PSM asset, essentially. And at the same time, it has this notion of capacity, right? Because how do you swap? You swap through a price stability module, as they call it, a mechanism that assumes a 1-1 correspondence against a given coin and build a reserve against this coin, enabling you to do the swaps. So to be a bit more in practice, USD DAI back then had issues with frequent overpegging. We're talking half a decade ago now. And essentially the solution was to create this price stability module against USDC, enabling DAI holder to swap against a USDC stablecoin, essentially. And that led to make a DAO, like the entity, essentially, accumulating huge amounts of USDC that are essentially the reserve of its PSM, the price guarantee that this Dino USDS will not fly over one. So it's really how the core mechanism, and it's not maker specific at all, right? It's very common all through the stablecoin space. There are even people trying to generalize that mechanism or this type of mechanism now to create this kind of instant redemption pool between stablecoins or instant liquidity pool connecting thousands of stablecoins like ArbSwap. You have quite a few projects working in that space. But that's kind of the core idea. It's like kind of a handshake agreement, because that's important, right? A handshake agreement between USDC and DAI. But it's not even a handshake, actually. It's more of a kneeling than a handshake.
Yeah, that's I think why you call it vassalization, because all of a sudden, like USDC becomes the deciding factor of what happens to the asset.
A handshake would be DAI saying to USDC, to me you are worth one, and then USDC saying to DAI, to me you are worth one. Okay, we're gonna set up a mutual structure enabling a 1-1 swap of our assets.
I'm adding a guest here, by the way. I'm adding a guest here.
Nice. But that's not what happened. Oh, yeah.
The man of the hour. Nice to meet you, Ike.
On here, man.
Ike, you know, the first discussion that we should raise, actually, is whether you're called Ike or Ike. I think that's...
Okay, I think everyone calls me Ike, but it's pretty much Ike. But
I am the one who started Ike. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But most people call me Ike. But anyone will quite fine.
Whatever you say, man. Like if you say Ike, Ike, like it doesn't matter to me. Nice to meet you for the first time. For me, it's the first time.
Yeah, it's the first time
actually,
for you.
We talked once a bit on voice, but only very briefly. But most of it was text. Like I've told you two on the group, and like I've told Bryce. By the way, can you mute us on the over there? I can hear it on repeat. Maybe it's from your computer, right?
That's a bit strange.
Maybe if I talk now.
For now.
Yeah, I can hear like now? Maybe you have like another device over there that it's talking, or from the headphone. I have no idea. Anyway, I was just saying that basically I think it's a brilliant move by Bryce to pick you to do the growth and the comms and the research at Pharos. I must say I'm very impressed by the work you do. I think you're extremely diligent. You have amazing output, interesting threads all around, and just really enjoying and appreciate and learning from your work. So respect and congratulations for what you do. Give us some of your own thoughts about what we were talking. I don't know if you've listened to the episode up so far, but so far we've only just discussed the PMUSD.
Without me, that's not fair.
Yeah, exactly. So give us some of your perspective on it.
So I had a lot of things to say, and it was quite interesting. First of all, my stablecoin is quite good now, so I'm trying to see what's wrong.
Right now it's okay. Right now, maybe you just when the others talk, just mute it, and it will be easiest.
Okay, I see. So I had a lot of questions with the infrastructure of PMUSD, and interestingly, it was not like I planned to be a whistleblower or just spoil the whole thing. But I was doing my usual research, and then I figured out that something just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And then I thought I'd dig in deeper and ask some questions, like I usually do with my research, ask a lot of questions.
What made you, Ike? What made you first of all even notice it and decide to explore it? I understand that there was some kind of a small depeg that made you look, and then you started.
No,
seeing stuff, or
it
what?
wasn't a depeg. It wasn't a depeg. So Bryce couldn't testify that many times a coin is a bit too harsh. So it was just my usual scanning the platform and checking some of our decrypted coins to see if anyone there was a bit too harsh. And then I saw PMUSD with the depeg, and I'm like, why is this with a depeg? You know, because we had to talk about them before, me and Bryce with the team. That was about 2 weeks ago. And so I wanted to check more if what was said was being implemented already. Then I figured that it wasn't at all. And so I wanted to make a case for them, apparently, to say, oh, Brian, this is a bit too harsh on them. But then I'm seeing that it's actually too lenient on them, you know. And interestingly, the part of it that made me more shocking for me was the report that they gave back. So I read their report, the reply yesterday, and it was.
Let me just try to pull it up on screen because I was wanting to share this anyway. Let me know if this is what you mean.
I can do it. I have it saved in a tab if you want.
Yeah.
And
so
because
essentially, what they were doing in that report was basically confirming everything that I said, or we said in the report, and then they were trying to pacify the community to say, "Oh, hey, it's okay, it's all right." But we're saying that this is a fundamental problem here that needs to be paid attention to. And they're saying, oh, it's black. Well, yeah, it's fine black. You know, and that for me was a big problem. For example, if you look at the report, they said it's a perfected title.
This is it, Bryce, right?
That's clear.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go over it then and give us your thoughts on it. Because can you scroll back to the beginning of it, Bryce? So this is an article that actually Rak posts after the Interstand addressing the recent PMUSD FUD. You can find it on their X account. By the way, there was also an announcement issued by Ion Digital Corp about an hour or two.
It made no sense.
I have it,
made no sense.
for after, both of them.
Yeah.
And, okay, let's go ahead and address some of these kinds just like you were doing. I just want to give some context to the
$100 million market cap and you have no redemption plans. And then you tell me that the redemption plan is in the roadmap. That is for a coin that is about 100K market cap or a million market cap. There is no roadmap for redemption currently standing. It's perfectly arguable. And the fact that people tried to defend PMUSD yesterday shows the fact that people do not understand what the standard should be anymore. The lines have been blurred, and it made my work more interesting for me because it's like, this is clear. It's clearly written there. It's clearly written there. You know, the gold is in situ. It is not practical vault gold. And whether or not they've said it before, it does not determine or it does not undermine the fact that it is still a big red flag. So if you try to get your tokens back, you're getting VNFTs. It's a Yukon claim mining claim. And what I said there in my report on Pharos, they did not dispute one thing I said there. They only tried to explain why it was that way. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. The biggest red flag of everything they wrote there was redemption is on the roadmap. How the fuck, sorry, language. How do you have a coin or a stable coin at $100 million market cap and you have no redemption already in place? It's absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And it's very questionable. And I don't want to say a bit more things because I did a lot more digging into this. I think I sent Bryce in DMs one of the reports someone sent to me as well too. But I don't want to go into that about on this call. But it was glaring there, and they had no way to prove that the report that we made was wrong. They admitted to it indirectly and were trying to pacify or explain why that was done. And for me, that's more red flags. More red flags for me.
Yeah, it's a good summary. So I showed you in a bit the two message, both from Rack and then from Ion. I find Ion even more worrisome than Rack. Ike, don't forget to mute yourself, please, when you're not speaking. You have sick echo. Um, and Ion is like literally explicitly move. Ion is moving forward with the development of a structured redemption framework. So you are the best guess to tell me when exactly that means I can redeem. But what I can tell you is not soon. Moving forward, the development of a redemption framework doesn't sound like, okay, redemptions are open in that contract. Redeem now, kind of vibe. So again, it's a matter of time. Um, you know, the time it takes to access the collateral, and I think we've been quite used to instant here that we forget that depending on the assets, we were talking about real world assets earlier. Imagine your collateral is rented houses. If you want to liquidate that collateral, the first thing is you need to kick the tenants out. Depending of the country, it's a few months at least. Then you need to actually sell that house. Again, depending of the market, the country, the situation, the discount, whatsoever, it's another few months. So that means essentially rented real estate as a collateral would take you, generous estimation, 6 months to unfold. So to be able to actually deliver dollar to people who wants to redeem the stablecoin, if there was such a stablecoin. It's similar situations here, and it's something we love to forget about it in DeFi. We're so used to instantaneity and full transparency and so on that I think is like, again, what I was telling to you earlier, DAdvisoor, I think what happened here is like people heard precious metal, gold backed stablecoin, and kind of defaulted to assuming gold bar in a vault instantly redeemable. And maybe I'm pushy here and I'm open for challenge on this second part. Okay, my first part I'm confident. Second part I would say is using the word in situ. I think is purposeful on Rack and Ion's end, right? Because they know that most people don't speak Latin. They didn't tell you, oh, this stablecoin is backed by gold in the ground that is yet to be mined, which is the same thing, but surprisingly much more people understand what I'm saying when I'm saying gold still in the ground yet to be mined versus in situ gold. So I think there was a bit of obfuscation here, but we're jumping into intents, and so I'm just like throwing it out there. But essentially, communications could have been clearer.
You guys both raise very good points, I must say. And I will add again that this information was available. Like people who really read the docs, I went through it, just like Cyril. I saw a comment from Cyril, shout out to Cyril yesterday. And Cyril is a very good advocate of people who telling people to always actually read the docs. By the way, Bryce, I actually know that you and Cyril had last year there was a specific incident where he told you like that,
it's good now. We're obvious again.
I'm not trying to open anything here there, but I just say like
we had a bit of it.
It's one of the instances that I remember, and I'll admit I don't always read all the details myself. Specifically with Rack, I was like, to me this information wasn't new, but obviously it seems like it was new to some. And either way, I think that Ike just did great research and published it. That's what I've seen, actually. Like, he definitely has already proven that he knows how to do and really to dig into a project and dissect the different angles and find all the available information. And again, I can just commend you for it, Ike. And like I said earlier, these are the responses that were so far published from the Rack and Ion side. What we've showed on screen, you can find it on the relevant X accounts of both Ion Digital Corp and of Rack5. And open invite to the RAC team to come and share their own side of the story and their angle, and to try and correct everything that they feel is misrepresented here or in the report or wherever. Definitely on my show, I will be available. I will make myself available for this whenever you guys will want to. And really appreciate you guys and hope for the best. And I'm pretty sure that just like Bryce said earlier, he will make himself available for something like this if you would want him on it as well.
Yes.
And I can imagine that Ike will agree as well, but I'm not speaking in Ike's name.
Yeah, and maybe just something that is important to put forward too is at Pharos, we're not. It's not like a distant church where we pass judgment on the stablecoins, right? Our goal is to get the most accurate information possible. So I'm trying my best with my armies of clothes and with Ike on the ground to be here to tell me, hey, Bryce, like this rating is weird. Like let's investigate. But also, there has been dozens of situations already where simply the stablecoins teams or founders themselves, they reach out to us or we reach out to them before a spotlight, and they help us refine the information we have on the stablecoin. So I don't know, like on the top of my head, for instance, CRV USD was such a case. They help us understand better the redemption model and the classification. Another huge one, this one is a bit, it's part of Pharos history in a way. It's EUSD, Infinity 5, because the founder was just very reactive in DM. He first saw his rating, he didn't understand, he reached out, we discussed, and he led to insane features of Pharos, like the redemption module evaluation and things like that, where he essentially just made fair points that his stablecoin was, back then, about a month ago, being judged too harsh by Pharos. And we looked into it, and we learned from it, and eventually we implemented deeper coverage that led to IUSD, but not only, a lot of other centralized stablecoins, essentially mostly, or in between, but that were relying on the redemption routes more than the DEX routes to get a large bump in the score. So long story short, to tell you that correct us, challenge us, come to us anytime. There is a feedback form on the side. On the site, you have the Twitter, you have Ike that is super responsive here. Ike, sorry, I need to get used to it. And yeah, our goal is just to provide the most accurate data possible.
Anything you want to add there, Ike?
Yeah, and just to add up to what I think I'm a bit logging a bit. My login. Can you hear me?
It's okay. We hear you. Okay.
Yeah. So just to add to what Bryce said, we are very, very responsive. I mean, Bryce is more busy. I'm more on ground most of the time, and a lot of stablecoin projects and founders reach out to me almost every day. My DMs are buzzing every single second. It's always about we have this problem, we have that problem, review this one, review that one. And that's the point. We're not trying to crucify anybody. We're just trying to ensure that everyone is safe. And so when stablecoin feels like they are being judged too harshly or we are misinterpreting some of the metrics, they are able to reach out to us. And many times we actually give back advisory. In the last couple of days, some people have reached out to me to say, oh, Ike, we think we're rated this way, and why is this? And I'm like, okay, I think it's quite deserved so because of this. Okay, we're going to eventually look at it again internally. And so that's the point of what we're doing here. We are trying to ensure that builders have the right tools to build properly, that users as well to have access to proper transparency. And so if at any time there's a need for projects to reach out to us, to comment on what we're doing, to give feedback, we're very open to do that. Bryce is available. I am available as well too. And when Bryce is so busy, I'm helping to, pile up the request. Like I have about 10 waiting for when Bryce gets back from his trips, because, they've been buzzing me to say, oh, we want to check this out, check it as well too. That's really the point of everything. And I personally too, I am very available with these things, and I see this as a responsibility to the DeFi community and CeFi as well too. And so I'm always happy to give advisory, always happy to show you what you're doing wrong and let you do it properly. With the PMUSD, I reached out to the team. Bryce and I reached out to the team. That's a long story, but we did that until today. No response from them. And like I said on my last post, I have details on about 2 more stablecoins that could send them to zero. But I'm not going to post that because I'm not looking to nail nobody. I think I'm long rugged. I can't hear you, Tommy.
Yeah, people have been telling us we need to open a stablecoin market.
Shit, I think my card fried right now. But I was saying that I'm not. So I didn't post that because I'm not trying to. Fuck, man. I can hear your lips moving, but I can't hear you talk. Shit.
I was muted, man. Sorry, it's on my side.
Oh yeah, I thought I was going deaf or something. I'm like, I'm like
no. I was muted. I'm sorry because sometimes I want to make sure that I don't. That I actually saw this one from you earlier, where you've said this. I won't read the whole thing, but I've received a lot of DMs on the initial report. Went live from the founders and projects asking if they are next. Forbid, and some for advice. The truth is, I have reports on 2 other projects sitting in my drafts. My first move, you're becoming the sheriff of stablecoin town, of Pharosville, maybe, will be my first move will be to reach out privately and give them a chance to fix what is wrong. That is the right way to do this. But if they do not act to protect their users, the files will have to come out. Pretty dramatic, but also kind of true. And I actually think that this is a very good point that you're touching on there, Ike. I know that often this is the case in like more traditional sides of media, because Pharos, in a way, it's a kind of media, like it's stats and data, but also like today the boundary between data and media is kind of blurring with the way internet works. So I do think that you've touched on a very good point there, and it's the right approach. And I do think that you should make sure to reach out to projects first of all. I think that in general it will serve the purpose of Pharos better, which I think is to protect users. You know what I mean? And again, I must say that the whole thing is, from someone who's just watching it from the outside, on our very tiny sector of the industry, it was all very interesting. It was a very interesting, like 24 or 36 hours to watch the whole thing. Gentlemen, before we move to the next subject, anything you want to add about RAC and PMUSD?
Floor is yours.
No, I think I pretty much said everything I had to say. So, yeah.
What do you have next for us, guys? And again, I will just keep mentioning it. RAC team, you're always invited to let me know if you want to share your own side of the story, to have a live stream with me, with the guys, wherever, open invite. And honestly wish to see the peg returns and the project becomes great again. What do we have next, Bryce?
Yeah, maybe a quick mention is just because it's so current, is IkeBillion sadly being hacked.
IkeBillion is another liquidity fork, by the way?
Yeah, it's a liquidity v2 fork on mainnet.
Really? It was hacked? For how much money?
Not much, because there wasn't much in the protocol.
Where is it built, by the way? IkeBillion is built on what? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's a liquidity v2 fork, so it's using the infrastructure.
No, but like on which chain?
It's on mainnet. It's on.
Really?
So they've been around a bit. They were on Plasma, then they went back to mainnet, and I think they tried another of those, a la mode chains. So maybe something like Mega Ease or whatever was in fashion then. But yeah, it's very current. So the tweet that I'm showing to you is from 2 hours ago, right?
Let me pop it up. Let me pop it up.
So very, very, very recent. And
Kubu
it
hacked
seems-
for like 17 wrapped BTC. That's not that small, you know.
I mean, that's a
1.5
trivial,
billion.
but
Yeah,
that's not
relative
much.
to Kel, Player Zero, and the RSE
Yes.
exploit, yeah, it's kind of small, but again, that's a lot of money.
It's like
1.4
we've
million.
been eating trauma for breakfast. So what is this? Like a baby trauma? But the weird thing is, it seems so far that the hack was more about the collateral than the stablecoin, because
Can you
stablecoin
elaborate?
itself. Yes, for sure. So the stablecoin itself is small again, very small. You know, like borderline. You would wonder if you want to pound that, because we're talking about a dollar stablecoin with 140K cap. So even if you manage to blow the whole thing, you're walking out of here.
Wow. So basically, you say that.
Oh wait, the supply just updated to 3.9 billion. So it does seem to be like a minting attack on the stablecoin. But Pharos hasn't picked up on the price yet. From what I'm seeing on the pool, it's still around $1, which is the surprising part. But let me open a few live chat to check.
No, but you're looking at Athena now, I see.
Oh wait. Oh, I mixed up the AE. Yeah, that's more like it. Okay. So yeah.
So
You know,
explain to us how it happens that wait, like
Oh.
the total supply of the specific EBUSD dollar is 142, and it's still pegged,
Yes.
but they were able to take 1.4 million. That actually means they have got the collateral itself.
Yeah, they drained the collateral. So I am not I'm not confident in like what happened here because it's so fresh. All I can tell you is that indeed it seems like the stablecoin is
Google
unaffected.
released a report. I'm going to send that to your DMs right now, Bryce. So you can just share
Super.
the screen. So Kubo just released a report on the incident. You might
Oh,
want to check
super.
that out.
Perfect timing.
Check your Telegram, Bryce.
Ike, a man on the ground, always has the
Yeah.
So here's the report from IkeBillion. There is an active security incident on IkeBillion swap router contract on EVM chains only. Liquidity providers are not affected. Starknet is not affected. We're investigating the scope of the issue. Be safe, revoke all outstanding approval. So it seems to be an IkeBillion related issue, which interesting. But again, it's just way too soon, the advisor, to give you like, oh, this is the issue. Here's what we learned from that.
Yeah, not able to do a live post-mortem of what's going on. But anyway, I understand that this message says that for anyone who has interacted with IkeBillion, they should revoke.
Yes, I will put it in the chat too. Can I?
You can automatically put it in the comments, I think. No, you can't on your side?
No, I can
Send
see
it to
the
me,
chat.
and I
I'll
will
send it to you.
do it.
Yeah. So like what is clear so far is as far as we know of, and this is not far because it's fresh. The stablecoin itself, from what I'm seeing on the charts and so on, it still seems to be trading around $1 in several pools with a bit of liquidity. It's
But
not
if
a
you
big
go
stablecoin.
to where it's being traded, you also
Yeah,
see
that's what I'm doing on Curve and so on, the Curve pool. We can check quickly if you want. So it seems to be trading at $1. It seems that what has been affected is the wrap Bitcoin collateral, and I've been able to confirm that looking at the balances. A decent amount of Bitcoin are gone. But we don't have so much more information than that. But you see, the EBUSD stablecoin itself, even on Curve, is still like at a decent.
But also, like you also said that the amount of liquidity there is about what?
Yeah, again, it's not
You
big.
want to
It's
check
not
out the Kubo on CoinGecko, Bryce? I think that's more
Yes,
interesting. Yeah, you want
maybe
to
we
check
can
out
go
the
straight to
Kubo on
Kubo.
CoinGecko? Let me just send you a screen. Send you the link to your WhatsApp to your.
Let me
Telegram.
check the
language is that?
Yeah, a Kubo on CoinGecko. I think that's a bit more interesting to see the chart. Because on CoinGecko you can see like what an impact it has. Check your Telegram price.
Because on the
It's
Ecubo,
down by
same thing.
35%.
Oh, fact.
today.
Okay. Ah, the Ecubo coin itself. In reaction of the hack. Yeah. Okay.
Makes
Okay. Coming. Just a second. Sorry.
makes sense.
Yeah, and all those dive.
And again, this is not the stablecoin EBUSD. This is the EcoBo project.
Yeah, it's a DEX that they were
token
using.
What's the market cap of that token? Can you see there, Bryce?
Sure. Yeah. Now it's 5 million, but after a 35% dump. It was quite a bit more before.
Look at that fall over there. From around 7.75 or so, give or take, maybe a little under, to around 0.47 right now.
Yes.
Wow. Another day, another hack, unfortunately.
So yeah, honestly, we will
have
know
any
more in a few
more
days.
details on it, we will share, but good catch by you to deliver the message. And again, folks, if you've interacted with the protocol, with Kubo, strong recommendation to revoke now at revoke.cash. You can find the link to that message by Kubo to revoke on the comments on YouTube, by the way. All right. Shall we continue to the next topic?
Sure. Yes. I have a few more. Let me find the tweet. So there was this tweet. This tweet from Hasib.
You wanted, by the way, you wanted to elaborate anything on that, Ike, or all good on your side?
No, for me it was just quite interesting. So yeah, I mean, like you rightly said, it's still quite fresh. So we still haven't been able to see what really happened or get lessons from it yet. It's still pretty fresh. So I've been monitoring it, obviously, and then I'll see what happens over the course of the night, what I can see from my findings from it, obviously.
Thank you. Hasib, go ahead, Bryce. What do you have for us here? Maybe we read it first, just a second.
Yes, sure.
By Hasib.
So
for those, I'm pretty sure that most of you know Hasib from Unchained and Dragonfly. Stablecoins are actually super cypherpunk. CT has broken your brain on this. The idea that anyone at any time with just a mobile phone can hold and send dollars instantaneously to anyone in the world, no KYC, no nothing. That was literally the cypherpunk dream. You know, in some aspect I can relate, but I saw that you have some thoughts on that, Bryce, which I actually kind of resonate with, especially if, like, can you really send your stablecoin, whatever you want?
So, you know, that's this kind of tweets, they spread because usually they are like, they hold a kernel of truth, right? But they then also so glaringly miss the bigger picture that they form like this perfect mix of, you know, like truth and mistake at the same time. So essentially, at face value, everything he's saying in that tweet is factual. You know, indeed there was, you know, like the Bitcoin white paper, peer-to-peer, electronic cash, and so on. So they weren't so much thinking in terms of stablecoin back then, but they were thinking in terms of capacity to transact between two peers from potentially anywhere in the world that don't know each other, that don't have a shared institution they can trust to make the transaction, like a bank or an intermediary or whatsoever. So that was definitely part of the original Bitcoin ethos. That is for sure. So already more than 15 years ago. That's the first thing. Then, you know, the stablecoin layers add to it because, of course, like we don't need to redo the whole spiel, but transacting Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever is not the most convenient. Like businesses and people who get a salary and things like that, They want to have predictability because they're paying rent, they're paying electricity bill, they're paying concrete set numbers every month. So you can't tell them, oh, your salary is, 1 Bitcoin, and happens what happens if 1 Bitcoin is 50K or 300K. That's up to you. Usually people, they like a framework that is a bit more stable. Okay, I'm getting 3K of salary a month. I need 2K for my expense. I have 1K left. I pay taxes and I have this much left whatsoever. So stablecoin is definitely part of that vision. But I think what is utterly missing, and what made it so such a polemic, is a complete blindfold on the fact that yes, there is no KYC on those stablecoin, but there is not nothing, as he says in his tweet, and it's not the cypherpunk dream in the current shape, because there is this regulatory machine on top of it. All right, and that essentially you are, I'm not sure what's the right word to use here, allowed, enabled, encouraged, permissioned to transact using those centralized stablecoins, because you're posing no threat to the flows of values around the globe, right? If this flow become a threat, it will be terminated. And we established that in the beginning of the episode, that 99.95% of the stablecoin don't survive the termination. As simple as that. So it's really about, if we want to enable this cypherpunk dream, we need to enable en masse stablecoin at like massive scales, at like hundreds of billions of dollars scale, like current stablecoin, but even much bigger. Also unfreezable, uncensorable, and so not relying on TBs, on real world assets, on centralized issuers with blacklist, and so on. In a way, and I think this is going to be a bit of a unexpected jump for people, but that's the beauty of crypto, is you have people thinking smart in all kinds of lanes, right? And you have someone that I like to read, which is an early cyberpunk guy, Punk 6529, for those who might know him. And he's been doing lots of education. He has a bit of a movement now and so on with his website. Interesting character. You can check him out. But he's been doing an amazingly good job at explaining to people the importance of freedom to transact, and how a freedom to transact is essentially the primitive to all other freedoms. Or to put it the other way around, the other freedoms are not worth anything if you don't have freedom to transact. So like, I can give you freedom of political expression and freedom of religious organizations and whatever. If you don't have freedom to transact, anyway, I can control you through other levers as a state. So I can give you the bonds that you want to chew. If they become a problem for me, I will use the financial lever to prevent you from any existence or growth. And therefore, your freedom of religion, you will create your little Christianity in Roman Empire, let's imagine. But then, you grow a bit too big, boom, funding cut, nobody can transact with you, nobody can exchange with you, you can't buy anything, boom, you die off. Hey, it's as simple as that, literally. Like, it's so funny because it's like two faces of a coin, Like, people are extremely fast now to recognize that we live in a hyper financialized world. Like, I don't think it's a controversial statement. Everybody will tell you, oh, money is at the center of everything. Money decides everything. Who we vote for doesn't matter. What we want doesn't matter. What we write, what we wish, what we fight for doesn't matter. At the end, the only thing that wins is the power of monies. So they will tell you that. And then at the same time, they will not realize that telling you that means freedom to transact is the absolute primitive of everything. It's a mother of all other freedoms. And I know in some people's head, it can sound like, what happened to Bryce? Like, he's going turbo capitalist tonight, right? Like, why is he so stingy about freedom to transact? Like, I thought he was a bit more of a communist, or whatever you're thinking about me. But no, it doesn't matter you're far left or you're far right. If you believe in individual freedom, and you believe in individual capacity to self-determine, not dependent of what a state wish of them, then you believe and you want freedom to transact. And if you don't have that freedom to transact, essentially what's happening is cosplay, right? We're cosplaying political freedom. We're cosplaying whatever freedom, like, oh yeah, you can vote for who you want, but we decide where the capital goes or what are the rules to enable capital. That's essentially the core of my message, and that's why I'm directing you to this 6529, because I think he's doing a good job here. Freedom to transact is, in a hyper-financialized world, the mother of all freedom. Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's healthy or it's not, is another topic. It's just a factuality. And so the question is then, how do you defend, honor, and deliver that freedom to transact to enable people to have access to all the other freedoms? I know it's an uncountable, but you get me. All the other freedoms that are downstream of this one.
I actually appreciate that perspective quite a lot, because I really resonate with your point about the fact that, it is it is like the base layer of other freedoms, because you use the term cosplaying. I will use like a more crypto term. It's governance theater. If they can just tell you that, oh no, you have this right and that right, and of course you can vote for me, vote for that, left, right, all that kind of stuff. End of the day, the most useful tool that the authorities can use against anyone, whether it's a good or bad actor, if they prevent the opportunity to financially interact with others, end of the day, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? That's why cash, by the way, is still so strong. Because cash is still, even though it's issued by the government. Sorry, go ahead.
Speaking about freedom to transact, I just found something that should be probably put up there. I'm sending it to Bryce right now. It's a conversation that Satoshi had in 2010 by Satoshi, and it's the old Bitcoin talk. You can see it in your DMs, Bryce. From Protocol as well, which is fine. So you can see him talking about BDNS being used for separate network and separate blockchain. And so it showed that even Satoshi himself was quite in support of freedom with the blockchain and different possibilities as well. And this is the founding father of everything that we're doing here. And so I just thought this was quite an interesting read to hear from the horse's mouth himself on what Bryce is talking about, freedom to transact as well too. So yeah.
Bryce, can you send me that link so I also
post
that
yeah.
in the comments?
Yeah, amazing one, Ike. Again, oh my god, you're digging the Bitcoin Talk archives. But yeah, that is spot on.
Amazing indeed. And yeah, like if they listen, it starts with even like the smallest things, like I'm not sure how you say it in English, but they can foreclose your bank account for stuff like you owe money for a very small amount, even for a parking ticket or like a water bill or stuff like that. And they can seize your assets for something like that. That's how I, by the way, started with crypto. That's what made it so unique, in my opinion, when I first heard of this whole concept of like cypherpunk money, meaning money they can't confiscate for me, which I actually think is a huge factor in the fact that, I think that what draws many of us to the industry, even surely after the number go up side of things, is that it's freedom tech. It's kind of like the most ideologically driven industry that I know of, way more than any other, to be honest, because it is an industry that.
But I would say it's actually quite the opposite,
Yeah,
it's
sure,
not
but
ideologically driven. Every single other industry is ideologically driven to an extreme extent, an absurd extent. This one is just built, when it's going right, on a principle that the freedom and the sovereignty of the individuals is to be respected. And that's it. There is no ideology in there. That's just
that's
a
that's an interesting point.
tendency.
That's an
You see what I
interesting.
mean?
Yeah.
Versus, if you think about it, the banking industry is built on the preconception that every single individual needs to receive his salary and perform his payment through a bank account that is facilitated by a service provider, a private entity regulated by the state, and that private entity has essentially, as we've seen, all forms of freedom in deciding how to serve said customer, how well to serve him, whether to serve him or not. So, we love to forget about those topics, but I will give you a nice bite size for your shares, right? The crypto industry needs to be able to serve porn industry. And the reason behind it is because if you think about it, the OnlyFans and the porn actress, and I really don't care, I'm not passing any judgment here, but anyone doing an activity that is, from a bank perspective, not seen as reputable, right? So the gamblers, and I'm not talking illegal here, I'm talking immoral in some bank's perspective, where the bank is not supposed to pass moral judgment, but actually is. So those sex actress, OnlyFans models, poker players, and who knows what. You kind of picture out the kind of job I mean, right? They have the biggest trouble with the banking service and with the fintechs. And they should have found a home in crypto, in DeFi. And there's been a few attempts, Spank Chain and all of those things like in the past, but I don't think we have found a big fit there yet. And that is somehow a cause of concern. Because if we cannot serve properly, to put it simply, if we cannot serve properly the oppressed, the most oppressed of the current financial system, how do we hope to serve everyone, to swap your bank with whatever DeFi solution? Like those guys are kind of guinea pigs in a more positive sense than the usual for crypto. Like they are the limit test for crypto, right? The day we are able to serve them better so that they themselves, on their own volition, tell each other like, hey, stop struggling with PayPal or whatever weird bank you're using now. Just, use this whatever wallet, whatever bridge, whatever product. And in crypto, it's also easy. There is nobody that can tell you, no, your money is gone, or no, you need to give me 30 pages of written manuscript to explicit where the money is coming from, so that I will enable you to spend your own money that you won working hard. I think you get me, right? It's like all of this is connecting again on the freedom to transact and how it's got what we're doing. It's not ideological. I want to insist on that. Unless you're thinking that being pro-freedom is ideological, If you think that self-sovereignty is an ideological perspective, then it is ideological. But else it is not. But give me any other industry that exists in the world, it's insanely ideological. We unfurled the example with a bank account, but in the bank industry. But similar assumptions, similar ideologies are found in every single one of them. Crypto is just freedom maxing.
I enjoyed that perspective a lot, and I understand where you're coming from. And I think that it's exactly to your point, the fact that it's a matter of how you define ideology. And to be honest, I do define freedom as an ideology, because I don't think that it's a common necessarily, like, I don't think it's so clear to everyone as it maybe is clear to you and I and maybe a lot of others. I actually think that as time goes by and I grow up, and especially after the last few years, from several different directions and vectors, I'm actually more and more convinced that many people, they don't want what we define as freedom. You know what I mean? They kind of want the sense of safety. Okay, let's call it that. And the fact that I think it's mostly about responsibility. Like, who do you actually want to be in charge? Do you want to be you? Do you want to be in charge yourself? And do you want the responsibility to lie upon you and within you? Or do you want to say, oh, no, the government should take care of me. The state should take care of me. And someone else, some other force should be responsible for me and make sure that I don't fall. Like you always want a daddy. You always want a mommy. And I actually think that precisely because of that, I actually do think that, crypto is 100% an ideology, because I even see like amongst my friends, on many, by the way, it's not only regarding finance and money and stuff like that. I don't want to get too political on the show from various angles. But like, yes, so many times I get a sense that some of the people I like the most, like my best friends in the real world, I'm often asking myself, man, they don't even want to be free. You know what I mean? It's not about, they either completely don't get it, or they just don't want to get it. And by the way, these are people that are in many ways much smarter and more successful than I am on basically every...
the drive to self-determine is not correlated with intelligence in any way. Those are like completely separate dimensions.
Yeah. Again, like there are many different looks on it, but I agree with you. Definitely, I agree with the term of like freedom maxing. And I actually also think that, if it also raises like the moral issue of like, okay, you can, for example, block someone who's a malicious actor, whether it's on, no matter what kind of a level, you can block him. But what is the cost? Maybe the cost is that a righteous person also is now exposed to that threat. And then it's a whole other moral debate, like, is it worth having one innocent man in prison? You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole topic within itself, which I actually think that we should often raise on the show and do some shows about. I will try to give another perspective on what you've mentioned there, because, like, for example, I think the most obvious example of what we're discussing here is Tether, USDT. Like, for example, Tether, good or not good? Because for many people, I actually think that Tether is a lifesaver. You know what I mean? By the way, and I often use it, because if I actually need like to go from crypto money to fiat money, okay? On this side of the world, they want Tether. And I'm pretty sure that all over the world, whether it's people in the East, in Africa, in Asia, in whatever, the fact that something like Tether exists and is able to scale big enough allows them access, and they enjoy it, and they actually get a better life because of it. And I agree that the other side of it is what we're discussing, that, oh, wait, someone can actually freeze all that and say goodbye. So it's also like a more complex and like a topic that raises more questions. Like, once I was convinced that, no, Tether is bad. You know what I mean?
But like, who are we? Are we kids? Like, those are the good guys and those are the bad guys. You're using Tether as a bridge. It enables you to connect to like essentially assets in the real world. And most of the providers doing that bridging, they will ask you for USDT. Fine, you know that. You also know that Tether is censorable. So I hope that as an individual that is also a freedom maximalist, you have now understood that essentially your stablecoin are to be stored in something that is not Tether, not
but I still
censorable.
need them. That's my point. Like,
But when you off-ramp, the amount that you want to off-ramp will be swapped to Tether, sent to a hot wallet or whatever you need, and do your transaction used as a bridge, but not for storage.
That I do, and that I agree, Bryce. That I do, and that I agree. But what if it gets to a point that I can't even do that? So my next question to you is, for example, okay, let's talk about the 0.05% of stablecoins, the ones who are really unfreezable, the one who really can't be touched. I will present it as a question. Can they be scaled? Can it be at some point that we reach a phase where it's big enough that we can actually transact that way in like a really uncensored way?
Obviously, yes, because again, you have to understand that the current state of the no to the blacklistable question is literally the least effort, right? The least amount of effort possible is what being done here. Because the path of least resistance, if you want to grow a stablecoin, is just to wrap some bullshit from the real world, tell a nice story, and grow this supply of stablecoin. That's a story we've seen countless of times. But the real I mean, this data point is literally, you can't argue against me on this, right? How many teams? So okay, let's take a step back. What would make for an immutable, trustless stablecoin? I kind of give it away. So essentially, it needs to be immutable. If you want a trustless stablecoin, it needs to be immutable. There is no other way around. No, let's look at it this way.
By the way, this is also true for a protocol, not even just a stablecoin, but you're right.
But
Let's
it's
keep
another
it,
topic,
let's
yeah.
keep it about stablecoins. You're right.
So, no, the other question was, okay, we have been doing DeFi for 8 years. How many teams in the whole 8 years history of DeFi have even tried to ship an immutable stablecoin? And the answer to that is 1. The answer to mutable is about 300,000, or I don't know at this point, a lot of stablecoins were launched. So again, this is the least amount of effort possible, because there is literally only one single team that tried with 2 iterations, LUSD and Bond. There are a few others on the margin. Okay, those are not the 2 only
By
immutable
the way,
stablecoins.
I
But kind of the one that matters.
I actually want to ask you something that you will know better than I. Like, can't someone argue that only liquidity V1 is really immutable? Like,
no, it's not a matter of arguing about immutability, because the fact that the code cannot be changed, this is like a fact. You verify it, and either it can be changed with a governance process or whatever process it is to enforce change, or it cannot be changed. So both of the protocols cannot be changed. But I guess where the question comes from is, like, the attack surface is definitely greater on a board, right? Because you have this wrap stake ETH and this rocket ETH as collateral. And so essentially, as an attackant of the protocol, you have more levers to pull. Maybe instead of just trying to attack the logic of the core protocol itself, so liquidity V1 or liquidity V2, you will start to think in terms of, okay, maybe I can find a flow in rocket ETH, for instance. And if I can infinity mint rocket ETH, then I can infinity mint bold. I mean, not exactly infinity, but there is some threshold here. But you get my reasoning. So it's a bit like, this system is super secure, but the humans operating the system are not that smart. Maybe I will attack the humans. It's easier than attacking the system. So in that sense, it increases the surface. And yes, this is what could be said here. But you do realize what I said, right? That means, pawning Lido or pawning Rocket ETH. Both of which are much bigger than Bold itself. So you could imagine that if they were to suffer an attack, let's put it like that, the attackers would have bigger targets than Lido and Rocket. Sorry, than Liquidity V2 through Lido and Rocket is. Because together they're like $22 billion, and the bold supply is like what, 35 million or something. Maybe it was 30. It grew up a bit, so we can check quickly. So 35 million about. So you see what I mean. If you pawn Lido and you pawn Rocket ETH or either or, probably most likely what you're gonna do is, put it max collateral on Avi, borrow all the ETH, it rings the bell, right? Do the same on other money markets, destroy all the liquidity that you have on DEXs, essentially pull from when you want to pull, you can pull. And then, yes, maybe you notice that there is, I don't know, 10 million of pairing asset on Ball, and you're like, oh, I can also drop a bit on Ball, mint a gazillion of Ball, and try to drain that liquidity. But it would kind of be low on your target list. A bit of a sideway, but yeah. I hope that answers it.
Ike, you wanted to add something there?
Speaking about blacklist, I just want to add a few things to blacklist and a bit more of a balanced because I've spoken to quite a number of founders about the same case, and speaking about blacklist functions. And what I've come to realize from my conversation with several founders, I don't want to mention some names, but is the fact that different founders genuinely wish that they could push out these products, and they genuinely wish that they could create stable coins that are blacklist free and have no freeze functions. But in the pure core scheme of things is revenue. And so most of these stablecoins find it difficult to scale on an institutional level without having the ability to actually blacklist. For example, if you want to be Genius compliant, you need to have the blacklist functionality, because there'll be, cases obviously that have to deal with regulations. So if you want to be regulatory compliant, you need to have the blacklist freezable functionality. So right now it's a question for a lot of founders on, do you want to just scale, or do you actually want to create a proper stable coin that is truly decentralized? Because a lot of stable coins that want to actually stay freaks free find that they cannot scale on a global level. They cannot be used by institutions because they don't have that ability. So it's quite a dilemma between founders, and I've spoken to quite a few. And I just thought to just bring that up as well to into the discussion, because I think it's quite an angle that needs to also be looked at as well too. Yeah.
You're muted, DAdvisoor.
On the stream to your camera. Let me check if I can.
Oh yes, thank you for bringing me back. I don't know what happened. Sorry for that.
No, I tried doing something, but it didn't turn out the way I thought it would be. So how can you how do you guys explain the fact that all these actually immutable stablecoins, or bold for that matter, how hasn't it scaled? How isn't it bigger?
Because again, the other side is the path of least resistance, right? So DAI went to USDC and vassalize because it was a convenient way to solve their overpeg problem. Most of the stablecoins, they're not even trying to begin with, because it's simply easier to build centralized. There is also, mismatch in intent, nature of what we're trying to build here. So for instance, Go, when it came out, people had some hope. But of course, some stablecoin coming from Avi could not be anything else than an absolutely, censorable entity, because of the focus that Avi is having lately, institutional, regulatory compliance, and all of that sweet talk. So it's really alignment problem. It's like, if you let business do what they do, well, business want to be to be in control, to work with the regulator of your local country, and to serve a compliant product, essentially. So of course, when they assess all of that, what is the shortest path to compliance? Well, we put a blacklist function and we throw in some centralized collateral. Why not? It works. It does the job. So it really comes from that. Essentially, trustless immutable stablecoin are a demand from the base, and as long as the base doesn't express it, there will be no need for upstream corporate business layer to answer to it. So the only hope you can have is that a non-business, non-corporate entity will tackle the need, some kind of public good foundation type of things. So let's say if Ethereum Foundation woke up one day and realized, oh, DeFi is cute, but it's completely bullshit as long as we don't have a decentralized stablecoin in the hundreds of billions of dollars, and we need to stop being so nice and dandy about USDC and ESNA and all of that stuff, and decide to put, I don't know, 10 million on the table and fund their own stablecoin, that would be kind of a scenario that leads to that. But else, you kind of praying for the best. And I've seen it very firsthand with Polaris. I can tell you, because this is what we're building at Polaris, right? VCs are not interested. Sorry to break it to you, bro. VCs don't give a shit about your freedom. VCs don't give a shit about your sovereignty. VCs, like, they want to make money, and to them the quickest path to money is not shipping, a tool of individual sovereignty and freedom worldwide. And that's the funniest thing, because in their analysis they could reach that. They could understand that the first few that are going to do that, they're going to be sitting on a huge market that is going to be for them and for them only, because the USDC and the other will not be able to compete in that market. But somehow they don't see that. They see a high risk at several levels. They see uncertain outcome, and so they would rather back, the next fork of whatever, or hey, we're bringing this carry trade tokenized on chain, or so on. And that would be my reading.
Yeah, so actually, you raise a good point. You raise a point that it's not really mostly about necessarily education. It's like the prior factor to it, that first of all, someone needs to make, like, if we really want decentralization to work, we have to make it attractive to those who want to make money, because that's what's really kicking things into gear. And actually, it's a much quicker form of a catalyst than really educating the population or whatever about immutable coins. Because again, this, actually educating the public will take, at a minute, even if it happens, it's going to take decades. You know what I mean? Decades of hack after hack after hack after hack after hack, and loss of trust. And even if unfortunately we have these once a day or once every few days in crypto, again, end of the day, when people actually transact, they have to really be able to trust these tokens. And I will give the other side of it, that everything is still so young. You know what I mean? And nothing has the Lindy effect. I think that mostly USDT has the Lindy effect of being the oldest. Okay, so it's easiest to trust it to actually be worth, because at the end of the day, when I actually want fiat money and I go to the exchange, the reason they want USDT is the fact that they trust it the most. And only if something actually happens that will make them realize that they should trust Bold or PUSD or any other token for that matter more, will actually cause them to change their behavior. Because every time that they use USDT and it actually works, it only strengthens their belief that, just give me USDT and leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Yep. Maybe to share again, because on this we've been doing, I'm going to still throw flowers because people are not doing it enough. But if you could share the screen, that would be cool. But what we have at Pharos is the most advanced by an extremely wide margin blacklist tracker of the whole space, right? So the best blacklist tracker you can find, they will track partially about 3 stablecoin in terms of freezing. Pharos is tracking about 40 to 45 very precisely in terms of the actual amount that are being
What do you mean? 45 different stablecoins who have frozen assets?
Yes, which can directly froze asset. A bit less, actually. You have the whole list here, at least 30.
Can you also later expand on the different types? Because I saw that there's at least, I think, 4 divisions. There's something.
I'll get into it
later as well.
But yeah, so most extensive blacklist tracker that ever existed in DeFi, and that's just one of the features of Pharos. So you're welcome. So we do have indeed 4 tiers in there. We have the yes tier. So this one is the less ambiguous, right? There are explicit blacklist, freeze, destroy function in the stablecoin contract. And we're already talking, 133 stablecoin out of 250. So the vast majority in count. But even more importantly, 307 billion out of 340, 350. So the 90% by amount are an explicit in the stablecoin token contract. There is some form of feature that can
90%,
90% by mass. But we're talking
90
just about
or 19.
90.
90% of stablecoins have a yes freeze option like built in already.
By TVL, yes, because essentially every single centralized stablecoin must have, right? So USDC has, USDT has. With those two, you already have 75% of the mass. The market is extremely
okay.
concentrated.
Not the amount of stablecoin, like the amount of TVL. Okay.
Yeah, but even in stablecoin, it's a vast majority. Then you have this second tier of the possible. So the possible is essentially they have some form of notion of a future implementation of a blacklist, a freeze function, but it's not explicitly activated yet. So
you mean it's in the code, but it's not active?
Yes, that or the code can be mutated so that it will be it will host a blacklist function, right? So the most any mutable stablecoin can be as simple as that if you go short here. But
how is this tier called, by the way?
Possible. Blacklistable? Possible, yes. Most explicit example here would be something like USDS, right? Where governance through one single vote can enable essentially set addresses to start operating a blacklist function on the USDS stablecoin. So everything is here. It just needs the governance avail. The more subtle category, I guess, is something we call upstream. And upstream would be, and that's the difference between DAI and USDS, would be simply that this stablecoin has too much in collateral that can be censored itself, that you can essentially indirectly censor stablecoin just through the censoring of its collateral. So
okay,
the threshold
so you mean that the stablecoin itself doesn't have a freeze option, and maybe it's even immutable or not?
It doesn't matter. It's a matter of collateral. It's
the collateral itself can be seized. So
exactly.
End of the day, you see it as like the upstream tier of freezability.
Exactly, yes. So there would be something like DAI, for instance. And then the last tier is the explicit no. But here you need two things, right? You need one, to not find any freeze, destroy, seize related functions in the contract. And two, for the contract to be immutable. Exactly. Because else you don't know if the function is going to be added in the future.
Of course. And also, you needed to not be able to be decided by governance that anything can ever change, which is, again, like being immutable. And also that it only accepts collaterals which are also not seizable in any way.
Exactly. So you get the full pipeline, and that's why you end up with projects like a liquidity or a ball that have immutable contracts and that are using collateral like ETH or wrap stake ETH or ETH. You have a few more in that category. It's mostly made of liquidity forks, to be honest.
Like there's liquidity V2, liquidity like bold LUSD, FEUSD, and another two, no?
Yes, and there are quite a few others, even in the CGPI is another liquidity V1 fork. This is a V2 fork, USDQ, USND is a V2 fork, USDK. But the most are not that big, Really what matters is here, at the top of the table, right?
When you say 0.05%, you mean the percentage of TVL of total stablecoin market, which is really unfreezable, which is actually these five.
The 00, it actually went up a bit because I pushed an update to Pharos before going live, so it's 0068 now. Woohoo! I still have to verify. Because there are suspicious candidates in that list, including this hive-baked dollar that I'm not confident would be able to resist.
By the way, you mentioned FEUSD, right?
Yes,
Felix. Which is actually Felix, a liquidity V2 fork on Hyperliquid, correct?
Yes.
Hyperliquid, is it decentralized enough to even include? I'm really asking, like I'm not really familiar with it. But
it's factored in the risk ratings, right? That's why it's not doing so well. And on the resilience level, especially and decentralization, it will get a massive ping on an unproven chain.
Yeah, but what I actually mean is, Bryce, is like
it
for
could
example,
affect the blacklist. I agree with you. It's just the blacklist
because it's just like the collateral.
it's
Like
so
it doesn't
dense.
necessarily have to have but if
Hey,
the
nobody is
chain
doing that. Do it yourself and do it better, bro. See, nobody
No,
gives a
I'm just
fuck.
asking. I'm just
Nobody is
asking. I'm
doing
not.
that. I'm providing a baseline. Challenge me
I'm
with
not
like a
trying
pull
to
request.
pass any criticism here. I'm really just curious because.
But essentially, it matches the criteria. Most of its collateral is some form of wrapped hype. Essentially, it is immutable code, and so therefore, collateral cannot be frozen or censored, and the code is immutable. Therefore, it enters that category. But if you remove it to the category, we go below 0.003%. So I guess it's details that don't really matter, right? The core question is like an absurdly low amount of those stable coins are able to resist those
the point
censorship.
of non-existent.
Exactly.
It has it has close to zero market share, which is incredible. Which is why I think what you guys do at Pharos is so important. What you're trying to do with Polaris is so important. What Liquidity is doing is so important. And what the Trustless Force is trying to do is so important. Although even the tokens that I'm thinking about that are within the Trustless Force initiative, they don't even pass that test like most of them.
It's very demanding. Yes. It's very demanding. So you will have, okay, let's go in order. FXUSD doesn't pass the test because wrap Bitcoin is absolutely dominating as collateral lately. It used to be more of a, initially it was only wrap stakeys. So it was passing the test. In the early days of Pharos, FXUSD was freezable, no. But since then, the wrap Bitcoin took the majority of the collateral, and therefore it was reclassified. For CRV USD, it's a bit more subtle, but it's you have the question of the collateral as well, where you have a fair share that is custodied Bitcoin above the half actually. And then you have these questions about the peg keeper model, and that in certain situations of peg activity on CRV USD, the system is essentially accumulating centralized stablecoin. So in an event, it's a very weird situation on CRV USD, right? So excluding the collateral that kind of de facto makes it freezable upstream, it's also it's like the problem gets worse the more CRV USD is overpegged. So the more demand there is for CRV USD, the more the system will accumulate those centralized stablecoin, and so the more censorable the system will become. So put it another way, if you're not very generous with Michael, which I will put it just so you understand me, CRV USD is a poison pill, right? You don't want it to succeed, because if it does succeed, it's a Trojan horse. It's like it starts clean, but the more demand there is for it, the dirtier it gets. And I'm sure he designed it, he has also perspective in mind, trying to have a system that can self-balance. But this is the effective result of it, is that if CRV-USD was to overpeg now, the peg keepers will start accumulating balances in the peg keepers' assets. And the peg keeper assets are not the cleanest stablecoin of the bunch, right? They're like your let me get the exact list. I think we have them on Pharos actually.
Would actually be very interesting to discuss this.
Yeah, USDC, USDT, PYUSD, FRX USD, and Go. So none of them are blacklistable. No, as simple as that. And it's similar stories. Those two are in the trustless force. I mean, they're adjacent, and it's good that they're contributing to the effort. We can't be too elitist, and of course there is layers to the blacklistability, and there are levels to where you personally believe an adversarial actor is willing to go. But at my personal level, hey, if I want to play Lotto, I go at the Taba, and I buy a ticket and I scratch it. if I want to have immutable, uncensorable, unfreezable assets, I'm not taking fucking chances. The only number I will accept is 0.00% chance of being blacklisted, frozen, or seized. Anything above this is not acceptable to me. But I understand that maybe I'm a bit intense about it, and that some people might be fine with.
But that's
there is a
okay. That's your
10%.
choice. That's your. You should have the right to demand 100% purity from whatever you want, whether it's your water or your money. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of the whole point of freedom and having a choice. And I actually always enjoy like your perspectives about these issues and the fact that you're actually trying to do something about them, whether it's on the diagnostic side, like you do together with Ike with Pharos, and whether it's on the building side of things with providing a new alternative with Polaris, which I'm, again, very curious to see what you guys will do. And the whole thing just makes me really understand that, there are so many interesting topics that this kind of a show that we're doing here, and I'm very happy we're actually doing it, can lead us towards. And we actually should have these discussions at some point, hopefully, with Michael from the Trustless Force, with the guys from FX, with the guys from Curve, with maybe even people from like much more centralized entities like Tether or Circle or whatever, and to really counterbalance this, like to really argue these claims and points of what's actually the right way to look at things, and like where's the balance between things. But honestly, extremely a fascinating topic for me. And the important thing that I think that we should, like the kind of message we should be delivering, is that whoever's out there in using any kind of form of money or asset, for that matter, should really try to understand it and realize like the different levels of risks and whatever it means, whether it's an asset, whether it's a stablecoin, whether it's a protocol. It again comes back to the point of responsibility. Like with freedom comes responsibility. This is not separate things. If you want real freedom, you have to be willing to take it with the responsibility it delivers. Like otherwise, again, it's please, daddy, government, take care of me, and that's a whole other angle of things. And again, this goes actually to all like fields of life. Like money is just a very integral and important one of them, but it actually touches on all kinds of other fields of life. Ike, anything that you want to add on these topics?
Not for now, because I mean it's quite a lot, and very interesting things you mentioned so far. Speaking about next talks, I mean, I feel like this part is a very sensitive topic, and it has quite a number of perspectives from both the trustless people and the C5 guys and the guys who really work for regulations. So I have an idea, but I mean, I'll talk about that off the call. But some of the guys at Frox want to be here. I mean, I have Captain Hayes, the strategic reserve lead at Frox. He wants to be on the call. I mean, he spoke to me last week. He was like, he wants to be on the next podcast. So I think this is going to be an interesting part to talk about, because I know that Steve had a number of conversations along this line, and a number of things as well, so in which we got the hat to do with compliance. You understand? So it's quite an interesting topic as well. So I'm having a lot of ideas for the next call, interestingly, but I'll just give my thoughts on Sudan here.
Yeah, I actually think that we can have incredible talks with like teams from the industry about this kind of stuff, and will be very informative and highly educational. Sorry, I thought you wanted to pop something.
Yeah, I actually do. For the next
go ahead.
topics.
Sorry, let me put it up back. I just heard that it pings on the...
I didn't know it pinged you. Sorry. Okay, I will be more careful.
No, on the contrary, it's good. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. Okay. Go ahead. Also, if you don't mind, give a short explainer of what this Give ETH and the QF round is. I've been seeing it all over the place, but I
Yes.
wasn't really sure. But so try to give like an introduction to what the whole thing even is.
Oh, it's a long story, but it's a bit of the
Yeah,
spiritual.
not too much, like in some anecdotes.
Yeah. So it's a bit of the spiritual successor of Giveth, right? They were both active at some point.
Of Gitcoin,
Gitcoin, sorry, yeah. And I don't know exactly what's up with Gitcoin. Probably still ongoing, but it's trying to find new ways to fund the commons, right? And the commons being your neighborhood security researcher or someone building some piece of infrastructure that everybody is using, or some tools like Rotkey that is local run open source portfolio tracker, essentially, that helps you make sense of all your whole crypto activity without leaking data. It could be things like a DeFi scan that gives you decentralization analysis and point of failures on DeFi protocol. Something like Pharos Watch that gives you risk analysis and data on stablecoin. Some more like fundamental stuff like developer tooling. So essentially all this decentralization doesn't happen by magic, right? There needs to be the little in my head I call them the little fairies of decentralization, because I feel like it carries the right mental model, but maybe it's not the best. But if you look at what is in that
maybe
round,
it is actually the best, I must
so
say.
it's like you want to decentralize, but okay, you're setting up an infrastructure, but then there are people doing things around that infrastructure that make this effective decentralization possible. So like people to operate your infrastructure, they need knowledge of it. So some people are writing that knowledge. Other people are writing interfaces that makes it easier. Other people are producing dashboard that helps your governance take the right decision. So this thing goes in the right direction. So it goes all over the place, and you can really see it. You have a lot of analytics tools. So I mentioned a few already, but you also have BlobScan, friends from MT Capture doing really good thing about helping you understand the decentralization of governance. You have SEAL 911, of course, so like more remediation response to hack and attack situation. Dab node helps you run Ethereum nodes at home. So we could keep going because they're all pretty interesting projects, but it's going to be long. But two core message I want to do here is this round has a special situation, which is called the matching, right? And the matching is coming from the funds of the DAO. So the DAO hack that happened ages ago, and there's some return produced on that asset that is used to fund this fund. There's also donations from other entities, but essentially there is a large amount of matching on this round. And so what it means is that right now the round is ending in 10 days, but right now you have I'm not even 100K donated. That is going to be matched by 1 million. So that means abstracting everything else. If
10
you donate
times the amount?
exactly, if you donate
Wow.
1, effectively the projects are going to get 10. So the
No
math
way.
is not as simple as that, because there are ponderation depending of credibility factors on the project and so on. But
I
the
thought it was 1 by 1. I had no idea it was in such
matching
a
can be
factor.
huge, really huge. And so it's really,
Wow.
maybe I will drive it like that. The problem with such project is, and you see it kind of at the top, right, is people would go and they will donate to the name they know. So for instance, Rect is collecting a lot of money there, and good for them, and still 911. But at the same time, you have ton Zach XBT because he's so well known, but you have tons of smaller projects that are not getting so much, but they're doing insanely useful stuff. So go around, browse, read about the project, and donate to those smaller guys. That's probably one of the biggest impact you can do if you want to see that freedom to transact and all that vision happening. Don't just go for the name the name you've seen around Twitter. Actually open, okay, what are those guys doing? Oh, well, they're doing a tool to help me understand the actual privacy features of a wallet. That's pretty useful, right? Okay, and that's really, I think, the main idea here. And two more things is the amount really doesn't matter because, again, of the matching. So you're not just donating money here, you're sending a signal. A signal can be sent with $1 worth of token. what is equally important to the amounts you're donating is essentially the perceived credibility of your profile. I don't have a wallet installed here, so I can't show you, but there would be things, like having a Gitcoin passport, having on-chain activity. You have like all this scoring system that had credibility to your profile, and essentially will add a weight as to the signal you're sending as a donator. So interesting experiment using crypto native tools to fund crypto necessities, to put it simply. So go around, try, and if you can, even if it's not big amount, donate. It can make a massive difference.
Where people find it, Bryce?
Giveth.io.
Giveth.io. You can also look for Giveth.
And check the quadratic funding, as they call it.
Well, I actually saw a post by Griff, I think. Maybe it was.
Yeah, he's one of the main instigators of Giveth.
That you can. No, actually, because many people were saying, "Oh my God, I want to contribute to every participant of this thing."
Donate 1 cent to each.
I actually saw that they've added. Again, this is not 100% sure, but I saw something that he wrote that you can actually now contribute to the round itself, and it will be divided there. I'm not sure, but go over the options there because I think it's possible. I'm not finding it now on his posts, but I'm pretty sure I saw it yesterday or the day before, because really this is going all over the place. How long is this still open for? Do you
until May 15? So you have 10
more
more days.
9 days to go.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's closing in 9 days. So after 9 days, the curve round ends, and then they start the next procedures for the actual marching. So 9 days and 11 hours more to make donations. As it stands, yes.
Do you guys know people from there? Maybe any chance that we can get them on like a show for Leviathan News?
I've interacted a couple of times with Griff. I think it's something that we could walk around. They're quite vocal. I think last day he retweeted my post talking about Giveth as well too. So I think that should be quite some.
Yeah, no, they're pretty accessible. Always done for sure.
Yeah.
Amazing. I actually tried approaching. If you're talking to them, let them know that on our very small side, we will definitely want to push this message more and more. And I definitely think that this is a great use of funds. I actually saw a good post here. Let me see if I can pull it up and share it for a second here. Just a second. I'll post this one by Griff. Shout out to him. By the way, there was this huge stream that on Ethereum Foundation that him and Jay Chaskin did for like over 6 hours or so. Something like I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. But I just want to share this that I'm now seeing on Griff's account. Let's see if it pops up. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Where is it? Okay. Waiting for the next incident to care about security. Now, funding Ethereum security projects. Now, I think it says it all. Much respect to the Giveth folks and this incredible initiative. Still 9 days and a few hours to contribute. So look for them on X at Giveth and Giveth.io. What a blessed initiative, to be honest. Guys, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
One last light one to wrap up.
Actually, we're going for over 2 hours. I'm enjoying this so much, I must say. Let me tell you, this is very likely the best format of a show that I've done so far.
So
because it really touches on important topics. It really allows to take several topics and discuss them and raise like interesting issues. It will also have another vector once we actually start interviewing guests around it and raise discussions with them and maybe create some panels. I actually think that we have a huge opportunity here with this new stable talks with Pharos format. And I thank you too for making it possible and happen and going along with this idea. Appreciate it. What are you sending us home with?
A little interactive experience, right? So, you have your, thank you. We shipped this week at Pharos what I call Pharosville, and it's essentially a live visualization of Pharos data, right? So
that's it's
so
like with it's like Farmville animation, no? Like the old Facebook days.
So you will have like a full scenery, right? With oh wait, I'm not on the right page with you, right? Oh, sorry.
I'm seeing the.
You'll have a full scenery of the stablecoin market, where every stablecoin is a ship, and the major chains are harbors, and essentially they are animated based on the reality, right? So the stablecoins that are in the danger state are the ones that are in a depeg situation, or actually, in that zone in the news radar. The ship stablecoin will visit the docks based on the actual distribution of stablecoin on that chain. Here you will find a pile of shipwreck that is essentially the cemetery of Pharos. You have a little watchtower that is also the Telegram harbor. I figured it was a good hint. And some bird animation that I'm trying to correlate to stablecoin data, but it's not clear yet. But anyway, it's kind of, I picture it more like a background type of experience where it's nice to see you watching it, and then you will actually see, like, oh, I don't know, PMUSD is rushing towards the alert zone. What's happening now? That's kind of where I'm going for. It's early. So it's still not there yet, but I figure it would be like a nice. Oh, I have some clipping problem here. It would be
basically a visualization of what's going on with Pharos, with the stablecoin market.
And check out the best ship I was able to make. You know which coin is this one?
No.
Come on, look at the same.
Okay, of course. The king of coin. Yeah, you like it best. You like it as well.
It's a CRV-USD, right? But I can't select it. There is so much overlap. But CRV-USD, here it is. So I'm hoping to do more little things like that. But
where is Bolt, by the way? Wait, but what does it mean that like the location means that it's in a good place?
Yeah, he's sailing in the calm anchorage. So calm anchorage and watch breakwater. It's the one that are sailing in that area. You need to worry about. Bold. Good question. I think I've seen it somewhere. Let me go around a bit.
Surely you will add a way to look for them at some point, like
to search stablecoin. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, again, it's a visual one, so it's quite.
It's limited. So funny, man.
I don't know where Bald has gone. They dock at Harbor also sometimes, so to reduce a bit. Oh, Bald is here, but he's overlapping with the Sky squad. But here is Bald in the middle of USDS and ST USDS, I think.
It's so funny. I must say, much respect to you guys. I really enjoy Pharos. I think it's has become one of the most useful tools out there. I must say that the reports by Ike have also become very useful tools for me, both with my own account and with my work at Frankencoin. I use them quite often, and I'm also learning a lot by the way you do it, Ike. So big shout out to you. I think you're doing a tremendous job, like I've said earlier. And respect to both of you for really the incredible work that you're doing with Pharos, which I think already is making like a lot of waves if we continue with the sea and ocean metaphor over here. Anything you want to add, guys?
Now on my end, that's it. Have fun in Pharosville. Check out Givers. If you have even one spare dollar, but like an active wallet on chain, you can make a big difference here. Donates to every project that matters to you, not just Pharos, Swatch, or DeFiScan, but like try to not fall for the trap of donating only to the big household names. They're usually the most financed already, right? And you can have an even bigger impact, I think, trying to support smaller projects that are doing good things and that you think should be supported. Anything, Ike?
Pretty much just adding to what you said and wrapping up what I said earlier on. At Pharos, we are very open to feedback and we are willing to work with builders and founders. If you go through our tools and you have a question or you have some things that need clarification or just general questions, we are very accessible. My username is quite known, IkeBillion, .eth, and TokenBrice as well too. But if it's too busy, you can always reach out to me. You can also talk to me directly on or Bryce as well too on the Pharos X account. But it's more easy if you reach out to us in our personal X account. We're here to help both founders. We're here to help both users. And like Bryce said, support what we're doing here. Bryce has started really amazing content. And he plans to do it's going to be free. There's no gateways because the segment should be free for all. All users should have no excuse to fall for depeg. And so what we're doing is quite important. So the giveaway donations are going on, and there are 9 more days to go. If you found out it was useful, remember the PMUSD depeg. A lot of people came and said that they took out their money before the depeg happened and they were thanking Pharos for these services. You know, this is what we're doing, and there's so much more from the USR as well too. And so if you find our work useful, you can donate to us, and it's not about the amount, it's more about the signal that your donation sends. And yeah, pretty much thanks you to DAdvisoor for creating this, hosting this amazing podcast. I didn't want to come on live, but he kind of influenced me with Bryce to come on live and do this, and I think it's been quite a fun one as well too. So yeah, thank you so much for that one. So appreciate you.
No, actually, I'm very happy that I was opportunistic and told you to come on. I actually think that it's you're doing a brilliant job as well, and will be very good to have you and your perspective. Not to mention the fact that you're finding other stuff during the stream. We will need to set you up with a non-vertical camera, because that way we can also use this setup, which I think will be for 3 person or even 4, it will be nicer. Okay, but in general, I must say I'm very okay. Yeah, I should have thought of that. I haven't thought of that. But yeah, I'm very happy that you came on stream for the first time. I think you did brilliantly well. And guys, already looking forward to the next one. I really hope that at some point we will get to do this not only like 2 weeks. I don't think that we will get to do this in the next 2 weeks, because I know that Bryce, you're going to East Prague.
Yes, but it's this week. I can do in 2 weeks if you can.
I'm not sure that I will be here. I actually hope to go to some conferences myself in the next 2 weeks. But if I will be able to and available enough to do a stream, we will. If not, let's do it the week after once I'm back. You're going to speak at
yes,
what's it called,
yes.
East Prague? What are you going to speak about? Pharos? Polaris?
It's a bit of a transversal topic, right? But about what we discussed tonight, about the sensibility of stablecoin and the huge blind spot that it is for the industry.
Honestly, hope to already see the video of that. I'm sure it's going to be a great conference, actually. I think it's quite a classic conference. You've been there before, like in the previous East Pragues?
This year is a very nice building. I think they have upgraded quite a bit. So I'm really excited for this one. But yeah, it's a really nice city.
This weekend, correct? If you're around
Correct.
Prague this weekend, go ahead. You can look at them. Look for it on.
Oh yes,
X.
while we're talking about it, I think they gave me one ticket that I can distribute. So if
So
anyone wants,
one
reach
viewer
out.
of the show,
Exactly
and a
one.
user of,
On a per vibe basis. So don't rush yourself. Just tell me.
yeah, just feel
Pick
free
one.
to try and bribe
Yes.
Bryce as much as you can, preferably with an immutable stablecoin. Otherwise, he will just not care enough. But yeah, ETH Prague is happening this weekend. I'll put it up on screen, May 8th through 10th. And I actually think that there are going to be some great speakers, not even only Bryce. I actually think Vitalik will be there as well. And quite a few others. So if you're in the area, go and check it out. I must say this is an incredible art that they have there. Much respect to them. And okay, guys, thank you so much for being with me here. Really enjoyed it. Hope it was fun for you. Hope it was relevant for the viewers. Please go follow IkeBillion, TokenBrice. I'm DAdvisoor. Go follow Pharos and use Pharos Watch, Pharos.watch to really know the state of your stablecoin, and follow Pharos Watch and the reports for the best data and research about these stablecoin. Follow us at Leviathan News and myself, DAdvisoor, and the others. Shout out to everyone. And we'll send everyone off with the clip by Arcos again, which I really like and enjoy. So have fun, everyone, and have a great rest of the week. Bye, folks.
Have a good one.
Decentralized 逃げろ。誰でもトトできる。誰でもスキーを稼げる。ガバナンスまである。中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる。レバヤさんニュース開かれる海嘘はない。読んで書いて氷結し